the basket and the little card, folks. And
Oh, he wants an ET basket?
all right, so we'll call the meeting to order at 6:33. Board issues.
District property, that's what the Babe Ruth, one of the things they had wanted to discuss, correct? 'Cause I know we had talked about adding that, is that the same?
That's part of the same, yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
All right. Any other issues? Agenda changes.
I would like to add, and I don't know if this is unfinished or new business, I think we should discuss programming, us doing activities that are costing us money, basically. Is that programming?
Programming for new business.
Thank you.
Any other changes, additions, or deletions? Public comment.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Did you mention the Babe Ruth, is that in the committee thing there?
Yeah, it's on new businesses, district property as well, it looks like.
Posted.
Bill, did you want to speak?
Well, I was gonna make a proposal, I didn't know if that was on the agenda. We can go from there if you wanna do it now, or,
If you're going to make a proposal, can I add it to the agenda?
the last meeting you indicated would be added for this meeting.
I did.
I was here, that's why I was without understanding.
I
Brad
did.
Gisvold was going to make the presentation, however.
That's
he's got a
correct.
Baseball game tonight, so he can look at, there's the original there. Get these copy here.
Thank you.
And before I forget, just so I got everybody's concurrence, since I've got the board here, since I've been doing some of the yard
Oh,
work
sorry, I
around.
have,
Yeah,
okay, he didn't get a copy.
But I gave you the original.
I gave it to her. I was
Oh.
going to go around, but go for it.
The original was signed, that's what it
Ah.
was.
Who's got, do you have a signed copy?
I believe I do. Yes, ma'am, I do.
Essentially, we're looking, before I go on, anybody have any objection to my trimming out the dead roadies that are around the building?
No?
No.
Okay, everybody's okay with that? Just want to make sure before I go ahead and do it.
Yay!
And also
Thank you.
get rid of the leaves when I get a chance next couple of weeks.
Good Lord. Thank you, Bill.
Going to Clover Valley. Some improvements been made out there by Brad Gisvold, who's the head coach of the Babe Ruth team. And there's some things that we had to go through this spring, maybe because we had more water-related rain than we normally do, I don't know. We've had a constant problem in the vicinity of first base with lack of water drainage. There is no drainage line in there. So what we're proposing is, and it's in the highlighted yellow on the last page in the diagram, is to put a couple of drain lines and at the same time revisit the existing drain line, which is already in place at the backstop going along Christian Road and runs out. As best we know, that's probably where we're going to feed into it. Time-wise, the best time to do that is either this summer or in the fall, not wait until next spring when it's all wet.
Right.
Because that gives the grass a chance to grow back in. So that's the one thing we're sort of pushing to get an approval on at some point over the next few months. And I don't know what his schedule is as far as when he can do it. He's got a crew that can go in there probably in a day or two, probably.
How would that interfere with the ball field schedule for you?
Well, the baseball season is going to end the end of June, so I'm talking, primarily July,
August.
Now, it would impact on the field for as long as it takes him to put the line in. With the proper equipment, like I said, he could probably bang it out in a few days. Because he's got a crew that goes out there and he's got the heavy equipment, and if he doesn't have it, he'll get it from Jet City and cover it under his expenses. That was I think it was in paragraph 2, it was in there. 2A. That's one part. The other part is there's a section of fence that initially when we did the original baseball field, we used some residual fence. It only goes up about 6-7 feet. And when they installed it again, volunteers. It was installed upside down. At some point, if we can get the money, whether through us or you or whatever, we'd like to put a 10-foot fence in there. Now, the poles that were taken from the old ball field are installed, and they are at 10 feet. So all we need is the fence.
Okay.
Take the old fence down, put the new fence up, and that, again, is something that can be done in a day. McBride Fencing is the one that did the original project, and they could probably go ahead and do that. And again, just a matter of cost, and get that costed out at some point. No urgency here. It's been like that for the last 12 years, but that's something, again, we're looking at how we want to create in the future. Softball field, right now, we've got a problem in that if someone wants to use a softball field, we've got a baseball game going on, there's really no protection for spectators who are looking one way, and you got a 10-foot fence on the other. And what we've done in the past said, hey, sorry, there's no activity on the softball field during a baseball game because of spectators. During practice time, not a problem. We've had a few people hit in the head and so forth, and it's unsafe. And at some point, we would like to propose that perhaps we can look at doing the same thing for the softball field as we have for the baseball field, namely 20 or 30-foot fence or net around the perimeter there. Along that same line, and the next proposal there is moving the base, the home plate, instead of about 9 feet from the backstop or 8 feet, move it out to 25 feet, which is the standard for most all rule book, is the minimum standard. Now, it takes away some of the fence distance,
Right.
but it's only minimal. It's like 10, 12 feet. The advantage is it also gives you more space along the foul lines on either side. It's amazing how just moving out 25 feet this way gives you 22 feet on the sides, as opposed to about 6 to 8 feet now. So it gives you more playing area. This, I think, would be advantageous from the standpoint of Little League, as well as Babe Ruth, as well as select ball. Currently, there is no select ball fields in the Oak Harbor area. What select ball is the in-between Little League at 45, 60 to Babe Ruth in high school, which is 60, 90. We have no 70, was it 50, 70, or 54, 80 fields. So by doing this proposal, we would install the base plates, and then all you had to do is just whichever field you want to use for whatever practice or games, you could go ahead and install that. Just install the bases. In the rest of the time, you cover it up and you wouldn't even know there's a base there. That's something that we, Babe Ruth, can do. We have extra sets of bases right now, extra sets of plugs. We can do that at literally no cost. It's just getting the plate up and moving it out. We would not do that until after baseball was done for this season, either this summer or this fall. It's a no-brainer from our aspect, but again, if someone objects, because initially we're not going to touching the softball field. Longer term down the road, possibly you're looking at the putting in a batting cage. If we can fit one in someplace, we've been looking at this. There's one over at Hillcrest Elementary that was used. There's 2 high school softball batting cages that were abandoned when the nets blew apart. When the high school redid their batting cage, we took one of the old nets, which is still in pretty good shape, and I installed that on one of the 2 cages there at Hillcrest. So right now, that's about the only public access in the city of Oak Harbor for batting cage. So if we can do that down the road using some of the materials taken down, again, this is all reliant on installing the new higher fences around there, down the road. And people out there would like to have a scoreboard, but it takes either,
Money.
and that, in the past, that's been a non-issue as far as getting electrical power out there. I don't know whether that's something we can broach down the road. Primary contact is Brad Gisvold. He's the head coach. I'll give him his information on there. His email, his assistant, and myself are all on the bottom of the form. So that's pretty much what we're proposing. The big thing is the drainage field. It's something we'd like to get done sometime before the end of the year.
Bill, thank you. And first off, I'd like to apologize. I've been fighting a small case of pneumonia all week, my boss.
Don't pass it.
I'm on antibiotics, but I apologize for coughing during the last half of your
No problem.
presentation. Thank you for the work and everything you've put together. Comments from the board?
Could you send this to us electronically? I want to stick it in the minutes. So,
I will try, but I've had problems with my computer getting things. If I can do it, I'll do it.
Okay.
Now, what is a good address for sending it to NWPRD? I've got his email, but I don't have.
You want to send it to admin and she'll get it to us? When I can do,
Yeah.
Well, I can.
can you scan this? That's what I was going to ask.
Perfect.
Don't worry about it.
What's a
Yeah.
good
I'm
address?
in it.
she's just going to scan it, so you don't have to, don't worry about it.
It's still good for me to have
Oh.
the address.
Did we get an estimate on how much the drain field would cost?
I don't have that. Brad deals with that stuff, and he said, he'd take care of it. There's no cost to the
No
PR.
charge.
No charge in North Liberty Parks and Rec District. The baseball people are going to install it. If you've gone out to Babe Ruth Field, you'd realize that over the years, we've pretty much paid for everything.
And I recognize that, and I very much appreciate it.
So we're just looking to improve. We need your blessing, and then we'll move on.
I think this is great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I mean, it's actually really exciting. I know that you put a lot of work into this place over the years, and it would be really great if that's the one thing that I wasn't sure about and understanding from this is what's needed from us other than yeah, okay. I'm all in. I mean, but really, and if there are things that you need that we need to start. I realize there are some other things in here and there are some other potential considerations, but I think if we assume that we will be moving forward as a productive district and continuing to own it, I would really love in the future to talk about other improvements that we can work hand in hand with you.
Okay.
And maybe, sorry if I'm speaking out of turn or for anybody incorrectly, but be maybe a better partner. Because we know how much love goes into it. Seriously, like how much love goes into it, and I think we'd love to be able to meet you halfway or whatever percentage of the way that we can, because this is all really great, and there's a lot in here that I didn't know, so I learned something. But personally, anything here that's in it, I think these are all improvements not only for the field but for our community. So thank you.
Commissioner Hoffmeyer?
I agree. Nothing to add.
Nothing to add? Commissioner Harden?
I say bless you.
Do we need a motion
I
to
was
carry?
gonna- yes,
I
I
would
do.
like to make a motion that we encourage the Babe Ruth people to carry forward with the drainage as detailed in this lovely
Okay.
So we have a motion
recommendation.
to let the Babe Ruth League carry forward with the motion as presented to the board for the drainage.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Is there any reason we wouldn't go further than just that, or do we feel like that's the right first step?
Well, as most of the other stuff, my opinion is most of the other stuff talks about us even contributing some.
The other stuff is in the future.
Right.
Okay, so for
I think
now,
for
this
now, the
year-
appropriate,
We're
Okay.
primarily concerned right now with the drainage.
Okay.
Just getting our blessing
Okay,
down the road. The one thing that the coaches did want was a commitment that the fields would be available for Babe Ruth, not only now, but down in the future. And that even went beyond what happens, God forbid, the levy doesn't pass. They even made a proposal in there, would it be possible then,
yeah.
could the Oak Harbor Baseball Association, which is the parent organization which covers Babe Ruth, Legion, Select Ball, and the high school varsity ball, if they in fact could purchase as.
that was part of
501c3.
district property that's later on in the meeting, and I can tell you that we can talk about that.
Okay, then we'll move on to that.
Okay, thanks. So as the motion on the table about letting them proceed with the drainage, any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
while we're in proposal mode, should we also let our scout go?
Are there any objections to changing the agenda to move the new business? No, that's perfectly acceptable. The Eagle Scout project go now. Any objections?
Yep.
No. Mr. Moore?
Hello. I am Zachary Moore from Troop 4059, and I would like to build a 10 by 14 foot gazebo on Clover Valley Dog Park. So here I have a handout for everybody.
Thank you so much.
Just detailing basics of my plan. And then in the back here that we can pass around is a detailed plan of the gazebo I'd like to build. So I would like to build a 10 by 14 gazebo, 14 by 12 with the roof overhang over the concrete bench in Clover Valley Dog Park. Things that I would be able to provide with the troop would be labor to build the actual gazebo from my troop, volunteers that we accumulate through service hours, tools through renting them and borrowing them from people that have them already in the troop, and then also materials through companies like Home Depot and Frontier Lumber, who have historically given wood and materials to Eagle Scouts trying with the project. And from you, I'd like to ask approval for the gazebo to be built. And then some things that I'd like you to provide would be obviously compliance with my timeline, because it's strict, because we have a strict timeline. 2, I would like you to approve the board, of course. And then 3, help me figure out the problem of zoning the dogs out of the way of the building during construction, because we don't want any dogs or people to get hurt while building. So, any questions?
What was your name again? Sorry.
Zachary.
Zach.
Zachary.
No, and last name, sorry.
Moore.
Okay.
Zach?
Yes.
You have a timeline you mentioned that was pretty
Yes, so we're looking
short.
to actually start next month, middle to end of next month.
Middle end of June?
Yes.
Completion time of?
Probably middle to end of next month, because we'd be working weekends, so,
So you'd start and end in June?
yes.
It's like
Okay.
2 weeks, 1 week?
So we'd probably do 1 to 2 weekends,
Oh, okay.
so both weekend.
And so you need us to zone off a safe
So
construction area?
That's something we have to figure out, because dogs and construction probably don't mix well, because dogs want to see what's going on, and tools and nails and wood near dogs is probably not the best idea. So we'd probably have to figure out a way to make the working space safe.
Mm-hmm.
So probably either through creating a temporary barrier or just closing the park. We're probably other ways, but I just haven't thought of them.
I thought,
And is the structure the same as the one that's already there?
So
Is it
it's
same size?
similar, but it is bigger, because the structure that there is somewhere around 10 by 11, but the
Oh,
structure
okay.
I'm proposing to build is 14 by 10,
Okay.
with a 14 by 12 overhang with the roof.
So you would be doing all the work on weekends?
Yes, most likely, yeah.
So I wonder if it would be possible to close the park for the first weekend and then pick up everything, have it open for the week.
I would probably. I mean, I think most of the I would hope
I think
that
so.
one, I think that they will be probably volunteers
Yeah.
to help with that, and so that's part of the workforce. But I think as well, I think this is something that was on our docket to do last year and it didn't happen.
Yep.
So it would certainly it's an improvement that was hoped for, and just so I think it would be welcomed.
I think the people that do use it will, not being able to go for, the hours, the construction hours during that weekend
Yeah.
will be alleviated by, we're gonna have this lovely new thing that we can sit under when it's hot and horrible and rainy and horrible.
Plus, they can still use the small dog park.
Good point.
You still, if you close the big, they can still use the small.
Very good point.
Do you foresee any issues with with your timeline?
One issue is that building permit. So the building permits we found on the building codes we found online said the gazebo's under 200 square feet, which the 10 by 14 does fall under. Does not require a building permit, but we called the building permit place and they said that it does. So we'll just need to go and clarify that, and that could possibly put a dent in the timeline and possibly stop it from being built.
So are you going, is this going to be in cement?
Yes.
The posts in cement?
Yes.
And-
Yes, so it is resistant to windstorms, which are pretty common around here.
How far away is it from the current structure?
Far away, so distance from them, so are you familiar with Cliff Valley Dog Park where the tree line is?
Yes.
So it's the cement bench is right over by the tree line.
Okay, so it's gonna be over by the tree line. That's a
Yeah.
good,
30 feet.
Yeah.
more, but okay, it's fine. Okay.
And what do you think it will cost to, if we just close the dog park for the weekend, then we don't really need to make a boundary around that, right? Because
No.
it'll be,
Because it'll be closed, yes.
yes. And then it'll be okay for dogs to go on it for the week, during the week,
Yeah.
because it'll be dry.
I guess we could probably just put a notice, make sure everybody, that we obviously know how to get in touch with people there, but that we put a sign there that anybody understands that it's gonna be closed.
Building construction.
Yeah,
They have an active page too on Facebook. They're all on it.
Cool. Maybe to make it fair, make the small dog run, like for small dogs on Saturday and for large dogs on Sunday.
I don't think we need to be honest with you,
Okay.
I don't think we need to administer it. I think it's, if you have a friendly dog, more than one dog is fine in there. If you don't, then, it's kind of you can come, these are the facilities that are available to you. I don't think we really need to over-engineer it.
Oh.
Honestly, I don't think we do.
Okay. I thought there was a reason why there's a small dog thing. I don't have dogs.
Well, so the adjective is small, but it's really small pen, not small dog pen. It's a smaller pen. That's all it is. It's not necessarily just for small dogs.
Oh.
It's for with the more aggressive.
Or a new dog adjusting, or,
See, and all this
There we
time,
go.
that's what I thought it was for small dogs.
So Zach, it's 140 square feet with a roof, doesn't need a permit.
So according to the thing we found online for the Oak Harbor building permits, gazebos under 200 square feet do not, which the 10 by 14 would fall under that. It would not need a building permit. But when we called the permit office, they said it does. So we have to go into the office and physically clarify that.
Okay, we are at the ballpark, or the dog park is not within the city limits of Oak Harbor, so
Okay.
it's
Right.
county
Yeah.
regulation.
Okay.
They call the county.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, that was my question.
That's where the difference
Yeah,
is,
okay.
probably.
It should be, it should be the universal building code. There shouldn't need it unless there's something weird because it's in a park.
Yeah, that's-
Another company that might be really good at donating to you, Cascade Lumber, is also a county in Eileen, they're a company in Eileen County on Camino.
Okay.
They're really good with that stuff. Also, if there is any hiccup with the permitting and stuff, Tom Lurch with Nautilus Construction
Uh-huh.
is very good at getting permits through. I
Okay.
know he'd be willing to help you.
Okay.
So, I really like it. I hope that this gets approved, and if you need any help nailing stuff together or whatever, just give me a call.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Do you have, is there an engineer of some kind or an architect that's overlooking your plan?
Plan, no.
Do you know any of the Navy Seabees on base?
No.
That's how my nephew had to build something, and that's what he did. He went to the Navy, and the Seabees looked, and he built a bridge. And so, I would just recommend that you find either an architect or a engineer or somebody that knows that stuff, and we'll look at it and say, this is not going to fall on somebody's head.
Okay.
Is my concern.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve Mr. Moore's plans for building a gazebo at the Clover Valley Dog Park.
Do I have a second
Second for discussion.
for discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just have the same engineering concerns that I'm sure that at your age, you know everything. But at my age, I realize I don't. So I share the engineering, or, and maybe it's part of the permit process too. That
Yep.
you would
Yep.
be told exactly how it is, and that's fine with me also.
That's the only thing I was gonna add to it, is that, yes, pending proper permitting or what have you. Proper approval, whatever the language you guys would like to be comfortable with it.
So you're asking that the motion be amended?
I'm looking at you. So are you going to modify your?
To what? Like, this is the point where somebody who actually, who's concerned about it throws me a bone, because I'm not gonna sit here making up language for something that,
What would
what
you
is
like
it
to
that
hear
you're
in
looking
there?
for?
I'm comfortable with it either way. I would just like to see it be unanimous.
And you know what? And if it does have to get a permit, I would. Well,
Let's be clear. We're hoping that for Zach to do it, it may need to not have one.
Yeah.
However, I think the other thing we have to keep in mind is that he has a support structure, and we could certainly try to ensure that there's someone with construction knowledge as part of that support structure, right? But it's not him doing it himself, and it's not a bunch of high school students doing it on their own either. I mean, you have support, right?
Yes.
From your Scoutmasters and
Yep.
and other people in the community. And, okay,
If I-
so yeah, sure.
Sandman Specialties is whom?
It is a company that,
Tell me a little bit more about the company.
it is a company that we found online to give us blueprint, that we got blueprints from.
So the blueprints are approved by Sandman Specialties. Any chance that they're a construction company that does this?
They're a company that makes blueprints.
Okay,
So there was,
So-
it was a whole website.
and if they're
full of-
existing blueprints that.
It was a whole website full of different blueprints for structures similar to this one, in different sizes.
So, yeah, they've already had.
Then that's where your engineering
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is not something
Okay.
that I just sketched up.
I didn't think that you
Are these in crayon?
so it says here that the construction guides provided by Sandman Specialties. Okay, if in spite of these plans becomes a building, the owner is responsible to apply all required permits, so that requires a skill. Yep. Okay. So these are approved drawings, which makes sense
Yes.
because the rafters are correct. And as much as I'd like to say that you did your homework, I don't think you knew that the rafters are supposed to be 24 inches off center, so, but that's good. So, I'd say these are probably approved construction drawings, but you can always have them reviewed.
Yes.
Okay.
It's always better to have it double checked.
Okay, all right. All right, any further discussion?
I'm happy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And will you do us a favor there, Zach? Give us a date as soon as possible.
Okay.
And let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Betty.
Thank you.
All right, no minutes to approve tonight, so we're going to move on to our favorite lady of this time of evening, Julie.
Just tired, no. I'll start with what's going on, just to give you an update. The rummage sale is 5/26. We've been collecting donations, my back hurts. But Harbor Tower Village has been wonderful. They've cleared out a room, well, a resident died actually, but
They cleared that order.
it's full to the ceiling, to the floor. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., volunteers and residents will be helping price things. We're still collecting stuff, and some of our users have been Jewel, who lives in Coopville, I believe she swam in the evenings and did aerobics and things. I mean, she must be in her 80s. This woman has loaded her Mercedes multiple times, driven to Snohomish, just wonderful support. So that's coming along. That same weekend, the youth soccer organization contacted me, and they said, we have a 3v3 tournament, which is the 26th and 27th of May. Why don't you come out and do a 50-50 raffle? you'll make a killing. Of course, whoever wins, I will strongly encourage and cry that they give the money back. I ran the 50-50 raffle for the teachers wish list at the high school for years, and people hated winning.
It worked.
You know. Anyway,
2011.
yeah. So we're doing the 50-50 raffle that weekend, as well as the rummage sale. The Big Fish campaign we're slowly working on, but with all these other things, the Rotary and the city, I've been kind of occupied, I'll be honest. And Wendy and Julie and I met, and we've kind of been working on a block party idea, which I think is great. And we're hopeful that this summer we'll pull that off, even if it is a levy kickoff party. And I did work, my daughter is interning with the Ferndale Parks and Rec District, and she is their event party planner. And I did find out that the commercial slip and slides, which the foundation will pay for, they bring them, they insure them, they man them, and it is doable. So that's something we talked about. And I'm like, why don't you internship with us? But anyway, she is a resource now. The person I met with, Jim Wiesner, is a city council member and a Rotarian and in charge of the hydros. And he asked to meet with me and kind of give me some advice on where to go with asking for these big donations. And he believes that we can approach the city for a large sum of money, which we can talk about at some other time. But there are a couple of ways and things that have to be done. There's a way to do it, is his advice. It has to come from you, because transferring money from one
Right.
entity to the other is seamless. And these are the things that he would like to see accompany that request. And he feels that because of the crisis of the pool and the closure of the park, you've got a chance here. And you write a wonderful, emotional letter. And we do have some volunteer writers. I have 2 volunteer writers now, if you would need help with it. But an emotional plea due to the park closure and the levy failure, a one-time deal with a start and end date of their support, if you will. Start and end date. They do not want to be tied to us financially. They would like a clear mission statement and goals and the strategic reopening budget. That's all they asked for, and they said, as soon as you get it to us, it will be discussed and we will give you an answer. And I felt great about that. I really did. He's a new council member, and he's willing to kind of pursue things maybe and do things that they may not have thought about in this situation they're in. You know, I know they requested numbers before Steve left, and they got the full budget. That was never going to fly
Right.
in their financial situation. But he believes that the $200,000 goal is totally doable to open this summer. He said ask for 200,000. You could ask the 200, maybe get 100. You know what I mean?
I think with City Beach closing for possibly the next 2 years.
And just to clarify, the lagoon is not closed. So
Just everything around it.
I was corrected
Yes.
at the Rotary when I said that, when I was talking
And
to them.
I guess, yeah, being a pool district, I guess as we are, and knowing how imperative water safety is, maybe this is for a later date, but the wisdom of leaving a lagoon open in a vacated park.
And even today at the chamber luncheon, interesting things happen when you show up. I was at the chamber luncheon today, and a person that sits on the board for lodging taxes said, we get to decide where we spend that money. Talk to me, call me, can I meet with you? So there's other ways, there's different pots of money. Steve Powers talked to me at the Rotary meeting that I spoke at, and he said, you know, we are creating budgets right now, it is time to get this done. And we do have this summer crisis, you know, like there's no place for the kids to go in Oak Harbor. So that emotional plea, I hate to put us under the gun, but I know you have to come up with it anyway. And I know that the strategic reopening is part of your responsibility anyway.
I would think that while
So-
asking for $200,000, we could put the relationship back together where the North Whidbey Parks and Recreation District used to provide lifeguards at the lagoon. I don't see any reason that couldn't be worked into a proposal
Brilliant.
as well, because
And that-
otherwise I see a
That's
safety
a win-win
problem.
for them, and they can say there is a place this summer. Good, good. So, I do think coming up with a date when we would like to be on their agenda, I know I can make that happen. I don't know how much time you're gonna need, but you might wanna,
Sean had asked me at the last meeting to talk with the county and figure out if the levy does pass, when that funding would come in. Some money would trickle in like January, February, but the first substantial amount of money we would get, the first substantial draw was around April.
right.
So that would
And to
probably be a
think what it
decent.
costs to reopen, you
Yeah.
know. So this could really be helpful.
Yep.
I don't want to lose this opportunity. The reason why we have to do it quickly is because it's this whole kids and summer and the park and,
If I may, we're not talking about this summer, are we? We're talking about next summer,
This
right?
summer.
no,
Right
we're
now.
talking about this summer.
In 6 weeks.
This summer. We have had 7 months to work on something from
Yeah.
November.
I had talked with a couple of the council members too. They're in a tough spot. They look at this as a win-win for them possibly as well. They're looking for some cover.
Positive press.
If the park is closed all summer and the pool is closed all summer, they are very worried about November personally. So,
And I am too, and I think the sooner we reconnect people back to us, the safer our
think so.
levy is.
yeah.
So it is gonna require, you know, time and now. And the Rotary, almost like a broken record, when I spoke, said we want to support the pool, and we will support the pool. And these are the things we like. The leaders in this town, I asked for $50,000. Have some definite hoops that we're gonna have to jump through, but when we do one, the other one, it's done for the other. The Rotary did ask that we set up a meeting in the next month. They meet every Friday, we can pick a Friday, and we'll be back on the agenda, and to bring at least 2 commissioners for grilling. You know, to speak, I had to submit a bio. The bio was shared with the Rotarians, and there was a question and answer seminar, and they would like to see the backgrounds. Also, this was the thing they added that the city didn't. The backgrounds of each council member.
Public knowledge, they can get any.
Is it on our website?
No.
Well, if it's
What
public.
we've all put in for the state, they can get anytime they want, but I
Okay,
mean.
well, maybe they just thought, you know.
They want
it's-
like resume or just a
Biography,
Yeah, just,
as
you
opposed
know.
to public or financial disclosure, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're,
Yeah,
They just want to know, it's like, is that a business person, a Navy person, a
right,
fireman?
right,
That's what they want to know.
yes,
And not an organized crime or something.
right.
Yes.
And
Are
they
they a
asked
local
about.
person or
So that's
Johnny
not
come
good.
lately?
okay.
I'm
You know,
not sure, but-
I happen to know the
Okay.
backgrounds of our 2 newest. They asked that on the fly, and I knew it just because I know it. And you know, they had some good questions. Of course, they just would like to see. I think their point is they want to see us all together out doing
Right.
this. And so it felt good because I was like, great, that takes some burden off me.
Yes,
I'll let them know. So, I'd like to pick a day that 2 of you are willing to step up and be at one of those Rotarian luncheons.
Can we save that date until after we talk about district property on new business?
Okay, okay,
I have to be the bearer of bad news.
oh, okay, okay.
And that's why I asked this summer, because what I have to say is not good. Like, I don't care if I open this pool this summer. I care whether or not this district's here come November,
Well, yes.
whether we're financially solvent. So we have a big thing to look at, a big picture to look at. And maybe I'm just the Debbie Downer in the group, but looking at something that, you and I have discussed, I'm worried about our cash flow for the rest of the year, and if we're gonna make it to when we get money next year. And to me, that's huge.
Now, I did have someone ask, who must know the history. There is a lot that exists that the district owns, right?
And that's part of that
Okay.
discussion we'll get to later.
Okay,
It's not,
So that's part of that discussion.
okay, good.
So can we wait on setting that date until after that, please?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I just want to say, again, a great thank you to Bill. If anyone's wondering how all the grass got mowed, one man.
Should I let it grow so everybody can see, hey, we really need money to put it? That crossed my mind.
It
No.
means a lot
Thank you, Bill.
to me, and I was shocked. I showed up here for a community outreach meeting, and he was still working into the evening, so. I do, as a foundation, I will say this, if there's no hope of opening this summer, with the money we have so far, I certainly can help the dog park and the baseball fields. And we can buy a new pump, and we can fund a levy, and we can do all those things. So the foundation is still a wonderful,
Oh
positive
my God,
thing
yes.
that we need. And we're here to support you guys, and make sure that they're not ignored also. Because, I do see how much they've done on their own, and
Yeah.
they will always be considered for our funding. And thanks for Bill to sit here by me and be supportive.
Thank you.
So if anyone wants to help with any of those things, you can always text me. My phone number's over the entire town. You can certainly, I get phone calls morning, noon, and night. I love it. It's great. There's checks in my purse I just picked up from here. I've gotten some great donors lately. Does anyone know Dan Boyer on base with the Wing?
Matt does.
I just met him.
What is his job?
Awesome. I don't know.
Anyway, he wants to really spearhead meeting with all the groups on base
Oh, good, okay.
and speaking.
Wow.
He and his wife.
So you also
it'd be
mentioned
great.
for the rummage sale, you mentioned pricing tomorrow.
Pricing's tomorrow.
And then the
Some of the
sale,
residents will be helping.
the sale is on the 26th, and that's a shift, like 2-hour shifts or something like that, you said?
It's 10 to 2,
Okay,
but 2 hours prior and probably
Gotcha.
2 hours
Yeah.
after.
okay.
I love the location. We're right on Whidbey Avenue. We'll get a ton of traffic. I wish we had more stuff. If you guys have junk that you want to get rid of, I mean, great items. If you have great stuff, there's still room in room 27. That's our room. You just come in and say. room
It's at
27.
Harbor Tower Village.
And they've been great.
little
And
plaque with my
honestly,
address on it.
I mean, I'm over there every other day at least, and it's been wonderful. It's just been wonderful. Just different places supporting us. I forgot Thrive. They're having a dance party
Yeah.
that I'm at tomorrow night to raise money for the pool.
The,
That's why I'm
all the
losing my
proceeds from, so it's what, $5 to attend? I just saw this, but it's $5 to attend, and they're donating all the money to the foundation.
And there's a huge banner in that complex, whatever you call it, where Thrive's located. I mean, it's
Harbor Village, yeah, I think, but anyway, whatever.
whatever it's called.
Yeah.
that all people that sign up from X amount of time to this amount of time, 20% of all their registration fees are going to this foundation. So, I mean, I'm having trouble now keeping up with people wanting to help
That's great.
us. Really, honestly, you know, I'm gonna be dancing Friday night, pricing stuff Friday afternoon, and yeah, that's tomorrow. I promised them, you know, of course I'll be there. But Thrive's been wonderful, and I was in there today thanking them again, and they're coming by. Where were those T-shirts? Oh, they just came by to get Save the Pool Foundation T-shirts so that everyone will have them on. Oh, I need those. I'll bring them tomorrow to the dance, or you just come dance. Anyway, so honestly, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, this community wants the pool. From soccer to Thrive to retirement homes to real estate agencies, I can barely keep up. So we will have extra funds when we get this open. We'll be able to run a great levy, buy a pump, whatever support we can muster. We'll be here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Voucher review. Can I get a motion?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve district vouchers 7960 through 7968 in the amount of $1,675.94 and a payroll transfer from the M&O account to payroll account of $5,190.91.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I just have a question. Did we not get a power bill? We don't, there is no power bill in
Well,
that.
we did, but I had questions because
Okay.
it was really high. So they said they were going to resend the bill, and they did. It came down to about 1,400 versus 3,400.
Okay.
So.
So
Well, I'm
you
gonna
gave them the
be
Joanne
calling
treatment.
No, I was
Yeah,
just,
she jumped.
I had questions because, you know, it's cold in here every day.
Yeah, we have all the off.
We have lights off and.
Is there a reason for the disparity?
Well, they keep saying it's their meter thing. And this happened, I believe, in 2015,
Yeah.
when we didn't get electric bills for 6 months. And then I got one big.
And that's what worried me, was
Yes.
the like,
So it's
boom.
the same thing happening, but now the bill is just, it's the wrong reading. It's not inaccurate.
Okay.
So we'll resend the bill.
Okay. And then the water, Clover Valley Park water, was that turned off, or there was, that one didn't appear in these
Yeah.
expenses either? Sorry, I want to celebrate
You know what,
lower
they
expenses, but.
They usually come at the same time. I think it was this month that the water bill for the pool came, but then CVP, it's not in the same envelope,
Okay,
so.
okay.
Is it because we're meeting a week earlier? Which is my fault.
No, it was just, there was one time, I want to say it's this month, that I got the water bill, the trash bill, but the CVP came like 2 weeks later.
What had the power bill been on average since the pool was closed? I just wonder if it's something we should have them retroactively look at as well and come out here and manually read the
Well,
meter
every time
possibly.
it comes in and it's high, we say Joanne on.
Okay.
She's usually all over that.
Yeah, so that saved us like around $2,000, right? That's what it sounds like, something like that, okay. And then, so the boiler at $10, is that accurate? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because
Yeah,
because the
that's
boiler
fair.
was $10, but then the spa boiler was several $100s. Do we know why? Sorry if I'm asking weird questions.
All right, the spa was always running for the hot tub, so we don't have it now.
Well, also, the spa bill, the spa boiler also covers the heating for the building.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I was trying to, I was like, I'm not like understanding this, and part of it is, you know, and I sent you a copy of that thing, like I'm trying to figure out projections, and I was like, I don't know what to do here, man. So cool, thank you. Okay.
So the spa bill is $378 because it covers the heat for the entire building, not just, okay.
Not
copy.
just the.
So it's not just you guys sitting in the hot tub.
We're not sitting back here moderating and smoking.
Staff meeting, yeah.
You know, they could sit in a hot tub now that it's empty and not run up a bill, but
Yeah, right.
I had something
Yes, sir.
on the same thing for staff. We had been given a lead by the city. I don't know if it was accurate, but the city had told us there was somebody with PSE who could work out a power bill deal with us and possibly, hey, don't worry about your bill for the next year or two type thing. We'll figure it out down the road. Has that ever been looked into?
I'm pretty sure Steve did.
Steve looked into it, but the way I guess, the way I understood it is that the way our district is, they can't help us that way because I guess it's contributing.
Could they help a nonprofit? That's maybe something for you to look into then.
That might be a
How do you
possibility.
approach that? What
But how?
exactly?
how could the non-profit?
Yeah, how could?
If
Because
you-
they don't own the building.
If the nonprofit was, for some reason, agreed to pay part of the utility bills.
I think I think what I understood from when it was talked about is the reason that they can't help us with the utility bills is because we are a tax district, a special
Correct.
tax district.
Correct.
Yeah, and
But
and I
they could
don't,
help a nonprofit
but
if,
the nonprofit would have to own the facility.
or put in their, or make it part of their goal to pay some of the utility bills.
I personally wouldn't feel real comfortable with that. I mean, I understand a donation to help us operate, but I don't see that, helping us pay our utilities is probably, I don't know, I'm not trying to speak for anybody, I'm not comfortable with that because I don't think it falls in line with their mission.
No, and I wouldn't want to see it come out of their donations and their mission, but if it was easier for PSE, if PSE can only transfer that money to a nonprofit.
Then in reality, what we're doing is we're putting a shell company, perhaps a little too much TV on my part here, but we're basically, right, I'm gonna call it a shell company, because I'm like, what else would a normal person call that? I don't know. But something, I mean, then we're really just, it's a ruse, right, to say, well, we're just trying to get around this rule, and it's like,
I don't think it's
And I don't
rude
think
at
so,
all.
because in Anacortes and Port Townsend, their district couldn't receive grant money for a boiler that cost a third to run, but the nonprofit could and installed that boiler and saved the district.
well, right, and so they donated equipment.
Well, the money was donated for the
Money.
the equipment.
Okay, but
The-
for specific things, not utility bills. I mean, if we're gonna talk about it, I think we should, I personally am uncomfortable with that, but maybe it's positioning. Maybe it is. But to me, that is a very specific, hey, this is money to buy a new boiler. Okay, to me, that's different than, can you pay our bills for us?
And the only place I was going with it is I know their goal is for this district to be here into the future. And
that's our goal
and my
too.
thought is if that's the only way to get there, maybe that's where we go.
But meanwhile, I think we have to pay our own utilities because we do have money to pay our utilities.
What I will do is I'll look into if there's a precedence for this in any other situation.
And I agree, we do have the money,
Contact
but we may be out of the money extraordinarily quickly because of other issues.
So, as good as that discussion is, it's off topic from the vouchers, so I need to bring us back to the vouchers, please, so. Any further discussion on the vouchers and the M&O for payroll?
No.
No further discussion. All in favor of approving the vouchers 7960 through 7968 for a total of $1,675.94 and the M&O for payroll account for $5,192.91. Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yes. Is there any objections to a 5-minute break?
No.
Take a 5-minute break starting at 7:27 until 7, just need 5? Just need 5? 7:32. Apple time. There we go. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order at 7:33. Committee reports. Clover Valley Committee, anything?
You know, Bill, Mr. Oak Harbor Baseball there, he pretty well covered all of the action that I had on talking with anybody on that. And then the Eagle Scout thing, that I wasn't even aware that was happening. That's possibly very exciting.
Awesome. Thank you. Community outreach.
Well, we're just mainly working together with the foundation, trying to make things happen. And one thing that most of the committee feels is, more commissioner involvement in, trying to get things done, which it's hard because everybody has schedules, but I think it makes a difference when we put ourselves out there.
Anything else? You're done? Thank you, ma'am. Strategic plan to reopen the pool committee did not meet because Debbie Doomsday here said we've got some other things we wanted to talk about, which we'll talk about later on. So I'll bring those up later.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am?
can I just back up to, sorry, one thing that wasn't said that I wanted to be sure.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we found that, the one thing that Zachary forgot to mention, our Boy Scout, was that if he does not, if for whatever reason there is a delay and he is not able to complete the project, the way that it works is basically he'll throw that into the queue for other Eagle Scout possibilities. So if he is not able, while we hope that it moves forward smoothly with no delay, if he does not, then it will be put on effectively a list with some other projects. Sorry, I wanted everyone to be aware of that.
Thank you for the
Just so we
follow-up,
know.
yes.
So sorry to divert
No.
there, but okay, sorry. That was it.
Action for review, unfinished business, district sponsorship policy it's pretty much dead in the water right now because nobody's gonna
Sponsor this.
sponsor us since there's nobody in the pool. So I'm
Well,
gonna,
but I would beg to differ.
Okay,
because
please.
first of all, it's an advertising policy, and we changed that.
did.
And the part of that what would potentially include is signage at the Clover Valley Park on the fence, which could potentially, sorry, I don't know where I was going with that word, but potentially be a source of revenue for this district. So I actually think that we don't want to dead in the water it. Perhaps, when it comes to things like sound panels, surely, but.
Could you do Clover Valley fence like that? That fence too?
That's well, yes.
I mean, the dog park fence.
We could, yeah, absolutely, but that, I think, and that's part of, so again, part of it here is adopting a policy that
Copy.
allows us to sell advertising, and I identify the types of, here's the structure. I mean, it doesn't have, it's not a process, right, or a procedure. It's not that, but it allows us to potentially go sell advertising space.
okay.
That's all that's intended to do, is to set some guidelines for example, the types of advertisers that we believe that the district supports.
Okay. So we'll have more for the advertising policy then next month.
No, everybody was given a copy of it,
Yes.
and you had 2 weeks to get me feedback, and I didn't get any, and therefore
right.
my assumption is that it is perfect.
It is.
I thought it was.
Perfect. I'm kidding, but I didn't get any. I didn't get any feedback. I know I brought many papers, and I'm pretty sure a copy of it is in here somewhere. There we go.
I really like that.
Well, no, that was actually something else. But nothing personal.
That was your
nothing,
logo as well. I
Nothing
should've worded
personal.
it better. I should've worded
But
it
that
better.
was not the same thing. So we have a one pager. I mean, we can either make a motion on this now, or we can wait. But everybody got a copy of it 2 meetings ago.
We did.
And I thought I printed a new copy, but I can't find it. And if you'd like an opportunity to peruse it again, that's fine, but what I'd ask is that everybody comes prepared.
I'm sure I thought it was perfect, or I would have answered.
I know you well enough to know that to be true. Well, I'll just go ahead
Have a
then and say,
motion.
I move that we approve the advertising policy as proposed.
Second. We have a motion to approve it as proposed and a second from Commissioner Hoffmeyer. Discussion?
I'm pretty excited about this. I've had certain contractor friends in the area, et cetera, asking for probably the last year or two if they can get out there on that sign. And so that's the advertisement thing. But once their sign's up there, God, I gotta help. I gotta think that maybe they would be willing to possibly jump in and help out with the heavy equipment they have with the baseball and the dog park people possibly. So I think it can be a win-win-win really, and pretty excited about it.
I think it's good. Do we have any ideas like pricing or just
I
at this
think-
point we're making just the policy?
Well, the policy was intended to be there. I think part of it is determining how we want to execute any procedure. I think there are probably, my suggestion would be to talk to local sign shops and number one, even see if they would want to help us administer it for a cut potentially. I only say, I don't know if anyone agrees. I'm saying that because what it would do is lessen our burden as it relates to that. So we'd probably need them to install it anyway. It's a thought, but I think it requires maybe a little, it's either that or here's the process that we use and we use administrative folks for it, so.
I was going to say, would that be, my question to you would be, that would be more the operations or the administration of carrying it out. We set the policy, and how the policy is carried out is left up to the folks that we have in those positions now, correct?
I have to say kind
Yeah.
of, but right, but it hasn't always been super, I mean, yes and no, right? I mean,
Two years ago at the Little League field, I believe they were getting $800 for 3x5 signs on the inside of the fence. And X amount of dollars of that covered the cost of the sign and install as well. Our signs facing the road are probably way more high vis than that.
absolutely,
So.
yeah.
I do have a question, sorry, and I
Go ahead.
Okay, so paragraph 1.1.2 exclusions. The subpara 1.2.2. Content not eligible for sponsorship display include, and then obscene stuff, blah, blah, blah. And my question was to be determined by.
These were pulled from the city of Seattle, so these were pulled actually from two different locations, but this I'm pretty sure was the city of Seattle. So from my perspective, I was like, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. I mean, I think that without we can administer further text here if we want to, or we can say that it's what's a reasonable person believe that to be.
I would not use the city of Seattle for a guide for the North Whidbey Pool Park and Rec District
But why?
administration. I think it might be good.
Well, as long as they don't put the green signs up, it'll be fine.
No, actually, I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me. But obscenity and decency is so relative, and I just think it's like somewhere we need to, the director has that authority to make that judgment is probably what we want.
Okay, so if you would like to send me the changes that you'd like to see,
Okay.
right? That's the. At a certain point, I'm not gonna just continue to wordsmith it. If somebody wants a change, propose a change specifically.
Okay.
And so if we want to,
Further discussion?
okay, thank you.
No further discussion, no amendments. We'll go ahead and vote on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All against?
Nay.
So I have to do a roll vote. Commissioner Shingleton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Harden?
Aye.
Commissioner Holly?
Nay, just because of the one thing that I raised. But
Understood.
you're right, it was my own fault. I didn't get back to you in writing.
Commissioner Merrill votes aye. The ayes have it. The policy is accepted as written. Employee manual. We've kicked this
Oh,
to,
yeah.
kicked this to curb.
So I thought about it last week and tried to think, because I just haven't been able to get in here to make the changes that I want to make to it. But what I would like to do is, starting next meeting, I will, before the meeting, I will send out to everybody, like chapters 1 and 2 with the changes I want to make highlighted. And if there's any big questions, I'll put those in it. Here are some questions we, the board, need to decide. And you look at those and you say, these are good, these chapters are good to go. And I think by the time we are back to a robust organization and have a full slate of employees, we'll have a handbook that works for us. If that procedure works for you guys.
Is there a reason why we can't postpone this activity till the fall or so? I feel like we're being asked for our time to do other things, and while I realize we are the only people who can modify the employee manual, I feel like maybe this is an activity like, sorry, I so apologize if this term offends anybody, but this was really common in consulting. It feels like we're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. And I'm not trying to offend anybody by saying that, but it's the, let's try to plug the hole. Sorry, that's opinion.
And it's a good opinion, and you're right. There are more important things. I just was trying to figure out a way that it's a huge thing.
I know.
And it probably does need to be whittled down to, if we do it at a chapter at a time, other people than me will have time to actually read it and think about what
So
we're asking.
is there any objection to moving this, pardon me, is there any objection to us moving this till after the levy passes in November?
I object.
No?
Good.
We've been working on this for a year and a half.
I've been working on this since I got on the board.
Right, I've reviewed it with notes 3 times, so.
Commissioner Hawley, I think possibly before she was chair and while she was chair worked on it. And I think a majority of the work is gone, and I don't think we're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. I think we're plugging some holes and getting ready to refloat the ships that were sunk at Pearl Harbor personally. I hate to see us push it off any further. I feel it's some progress that we need to show, and I think we need to get it behind us. I really, even though I didn't necessarily agree with every word, a lot of those in there were things that were agreed upon by the bulk of the board, and I am ready to support it in full or chapter at a time myself.
I love the chapter at a time process because it gives you time, it gives you a little to work through instead of,
It's a couple of pages to read instead of,
yes, having the whole big volume to.
So instead of doing 1 to 2 chapters at a time, is 1 chapter at a time acceptable?
I believe so.
Again, I mean, my opinion doesn't change. Will I do it if we agree to do it? I've already done it 3 times. So of course I'm gonna do it.
will you give me your notes? And did you do a handwriting or did you do it electronically?
Which, it doesn't matter. We can, if we're gonna start it over, I have notes. It's fine.
The most recent one, because I haven't.
It's fine.
Okay.
There's no need to, if we're gonna do it, let's, chapter at a time, let's do that. I spoke my piece.
If you would give me your notes, you don't have to do it again, and I'll make sure that they're put in
Well,
there.
That's the way it is for all of us, right? It's the same process.
Yeah. Okay. That's all.
Okay. I know, as far as chapter reviews for the employee manual, I don't have the time right now, on top of everything else.
Okay.
To do that, come up with mission statement goals, a strategic plan to reopen the pool, which right now, numbers are big for me. So I think we need to plug the hole in the ship before we restart this. And that may only take a month or two. So I'm going to ask the board to give me another month or two before we start this process over.
That's fair.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Mission statement, as you just heard me say, we need to come up with a mission statement with goals. And we need to start coming up with a budget to restart the pool. And that goes along with the cash flow statement that another commissioner has done a lot of work with. As far as mission statement, there was a letter put out, and excuse me, I'm going to say this wrong. There was a statement put out by the previous board. Are there parts of that we want to shrink? As a mission statement should only be at the most 3 sentences long. We need it to be short, sweet, and concise. Goals should be 5 or 6. So I'm asking all of you to give me within the next week what your priorities are. Give me 3 priorities. I will work a mission statement out of everybody's priorities. Send those priorities to Joanne. Joanne will then send them to me. All right? That way there's no discussion going on between us. We don't violate the OPMA.
So by the 26th, so next
Yes,
Friday?
yes, ma'am. If you could, just give me 3 priorities. It doesn't even have to be a complete sentence. I will form the
25th.
sentence. Yes, ma'am.
And when you say priority, are you talking about our priority is to offer swimming lessons? Is that the kind of thing
What's your
that you would
priorities
say
for
is a
our
priority?
district as a whole?
For our district as a whole?
Our
Okay.
district as a whole should be. And I will craft the best mission statement I can from those, and what I can't use in the mission statement will go directly into our goals. It's simple, it doesn't have to be complex. If a Marine can do it, anybody can do it. All right? All right? So, there you go.
Was that your contribution?
That was my contribution. If the guy that eats crayons and licks glue sticks can do it, come on. So please send this to me by next Friday. Thank you. All right. New business. Eagle Scouts done. New logo. Commissioner Shingleton.
Okay, so everybody, I sent everybody a copy of this. I know a little, here, hold on. I know I have one of these, sorry. I have enough.
My printer wouldn't let me print it. It said
I'm good.
your thingy something, blah, blah, blah.
Sounds like a very specific
But
message.
I liked it.
Oh, there it is. There's one.
Good.
Okay, all right.
And I think that ties directly into the mission statement and the goals we were talking about. I think it's awesome.
So, yeah, it's not intended to be something fancy or forever. It's just, so what I did, so Commissioner Hardin's feedback was, thank you, was capital letters, all caps with this font. Looks like it's yelling at you. So it was a bit much for it all to be caps. And again, this is a 10-minute clip art thing. So we would obviously make it appropriate for print qualities if we decided to adopt something like that.
Simple is better. I move that we adopt this as our logo.
Second. We have a motion to adopt this as our logo. We have a second. Discussion.
I think it shows progress, and it pretty well reflects everything that we are. And maybe with the boots down at the bottom, I don't know, maybe more than we hope to be, but I really do like it.
So, and I know one of the early feedback from Commissioner Hardin was, hey, some color would be great too. That certainly is something that could be integrated into it as well. Depending upon the purpose and.
But it's
good.
exactly, and it's memorable, it's
With the mission
easy.
statement and goals.
It says us.
Easy, sweet,
It was so perfect.
to the point.
Sometimes really good things come that quick.
They
I
do.
really like it.
They do. Well, and the idea is, as we diversified, if we continue to keep it, we could change, what's inside here as well. So it's intended to be adaptable.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Yes.
District vacancies, positions. All right. So last month we talked about
Director vacancy.
director vacancies.
For the record.
Thank you. And we still have that. Matt, how long will you be able to stay on as our CPO, or certified pool operator? Is there?
I have the time to stay on until this pool is actually reopened and back up on its feet.
Okay. Well, we also mentioned last month of talking about the auditing officer. There was a resolution. Last month we talked about we had to pass a resolution like we did when Erica was the temporary director
Yeah.
to make Matt a auditing officer. I brought that with me tonight, rewritten correctly. So I need a motion.
You need a motion to reapprove this?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
So, because we have to,
I
In the
move
re-
that we approve Matt Morris as the auditing officer
Resolution 18012.
Yes.
in accordance with the resolution
18-01. Thank you.
18-01.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. So this makes, obviously we can't have the people that are doing the books. Joanne now currently with Julie, and as of next month, it'll just be Julie. She can't be our auditing officer. We have to have somebody else signing, and that would have to be Matt. So this makes us legal with the county, with paychecks, and with the vouchers going to the county. So that's what that's for. Further discussion from the commissioners.
We have to. Yeah.
Mhm.
No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. The other thing we wanted to talk about here was moving forward with a part-time or a volunteer director. We've reached out. I haven't heard anything back from those that I've reached out to. Thoughts and comments from the rest of the board? Because as of next month, Joanne, thank you again for your service and everything you've done for us, but we'll be down to 2 employees. And there's stuff we just can't do. And some of that stuff we can't do.
Is there a way to make a more public space for it? I mean, I think there's several people that would be very good at it. Some of them might not be able to be taken away from what they're currently doing, but I don't know, maybe if there was a way for us to better define it and say, you know, what we're asking for, make it really clear that we're obviously not asking for 40 hours of volunteer time, but maybe there is somebody out there that could give us 20 hours a week right now, because I think having that person, especially as we get closer to the levy, is going to be appropriate, just because they're better suited to answer people's questions. You know, because we go back to the training that we've got from our insurance company over the last several years, and there are a lot of questions that the board really isn't supposed to answer.
Right.
And I think it's rather imperative to the future success of the levy of the district, and hope we can find somebody.
I would second the need to have effectively duties or job description. I know that sounds formal, but it's here's what we're asking you to do. No more and no less.
There's no pay for this.
We haven't defined that yet. That's what we're discussing.
But I think we need to narrow down what in our current operating mode, right? That's what we're considering is in our current operating mode, here's what we need someone to do. So I think we need to define those.
So do we have anybody that's willing to take this on as a subcommittee or duty in the next month or 2 weeks?
I would be willing to jump in on it. I would like help from any other commissioner that's willing to now. Just because I think two working together is going to get us a lot
I
closer
agree.
to 3 needed to pass.
Anybody
Well,
else?
how many I think first question is how many hours are we I mean, the pool is open, what, a couple hours a day now, or the office? Is there a schedule?
Ladies? No.
I'm sorry.
Is there a schedule for the pool being, I mean, for
For
the
the pool.
offices being
For
open?
office hours, not right now, no. Not since Steve left.
How many hours was Steve? Steve was working 40 hours while he
Yes.
was here, right?
Yes. And I think the hours would come more from the duties.
I mean, I think honestly, maybe even 10 hours right now until we get closer to the levies.
And I think
probably.
until we define the
You know?
duties, that's the crux of the problem.
Mhm.
So we need to look at the PD and decide what we can pull out of the PD and use temporarily. And remember, this is a temporary thing. So is anybody willing to help Commissioner Hoffmeyer? I don't have any more time to give. We've bled the turnip dry.
Well, maybe he can take a first crack at it and again, send it to all of us for feedback.
Would you be willing to take a first crack
and
at the
then
PD?
We could
and send it to
give
us?
him
You
individual
want me out a little bit?
feedback.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I have a couple of people that have
Okay.
offered.
Julie, can you do me a favor? Can you guys send an electronic version of Word of the Director's PD to Commissioner Hoffmeyer? Commissioner Hoffmeyer, I ask you to use track changes
Mhm.
and build a document and then send it out to the rest of us.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, you
I
bet.
appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
CBO, good. Cash flow statement. All right,
I've heard a few people offer as well, but I think, yeah, they all want to know more of
and
what am I getting myself into?
and we need to do that.
Yeah, and I think there are some older people that are willing to do it for a short time just because they're willing to help out the district, and there are also some younger people that maybe want to do it for their professional future, be it a cameo for a future job here or elsewhere. So I think there are a lot of options out there.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
District property, so I tied this into two things, and
Sean?
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
can I interrupt real quick?
yeah,
For the resolution for.
Did I get the number wrong?
Yes, because you already have 18.
oh, good. What's his number need to be?
18.2.
1802.
Thank you.
No, the name of the pool. Or the
Ah.
name of the district.
18-1 was no smoking in.
No, that was 17. That was 17.
We discussed it last meeting, that's right.
So we will, I will change that, and
I thought that was last.
I will change this to 1802 and bring it back on the front desk. Unfortunately, it's going to cause us to,
Can you not do a pen and ink change to a resolution and then initial it?
Sounds good.
Something that's that simple?
I like it.
I would think everybody would have to initial it.
All right.
Okay, then
That-
initialing that now is easier than us coming back in when the place isn't open. Just saying.
Yeah. No, I,
But yeah,
just,
that's,
yeah,
Yes.
all
thank
the
you.
legal contract.
Yeah, no,
and
that's
stuff.
right, you're right.
You have to initial every single.
All right, so district property goes into what I was talking about earlier. If you look at just the P&L numbers, do you have a copy of this?
Oh, yeah, I do.
So Commissioner Shingleton put some time and effort into a cash flow projection for the rest of the year. And this will, there's one for,
I know
Go
it's,
ahead.
the numbers are really small and some of the assumptions are probably poor, so it's a draft. And so apologies that it isn't the most legible document you've ever seen. The idea is to refine it based on as our information gets better.
so this is one thing we all need to look at going forward. Basic bones here, if you look at the expenses and the total cash on hand by December, we're not solvent.
Wow.
And this is missing things.
And that's not
So-
just, and it's not just the insurance payment.
No, ma'am, it is not just the insurance payment.
And again, this is a draft, so the numbers are not, it's not solid. This is a dashed line, not a solid line. Because certain things, election services, I estimated at 20,000. I know that Kaz estimated at 5. My hope would be to go back and look at midterm election years, what our costs have been in the past, just to try to like maybe, like not spend a lot of time on it, but to try to get a better, like real estimate. And part of that being that anybody who was on the board last year knows that we had yeah, it was a miscalculation and we can't afford that, you know. So I went high with the idea that in this case that maybe we could come back from that and say, yep, that's way too high. Okay, cool. That would be great.
So looking at this, I was going to propose two things. One, I had asked that we all sit down with Joanne separately between now and when she leaves to get a better understanding of the books so that we all have that perspective. Would it be possible if we held a special meeting that you could go over that with all of us at the same time? That way we all hear and we all can ask questions. Because I thought that would be much better than us all trying to come in one after the other. And we would hear each other's questions and it would be better for us as a board. Okay, so keeping that in mind, if you would all indulge me by pulling up your calendars. Are you available to do this in the evening, Joanne?
Yes. When?
Sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Is there a date that works better for you?
You tell me when.
Okay, good. From the board, any dates that work better for everybody here?
You can do any of the empty boxes.
Wednesday's not usually a good night for me. It's not good.
Good.
But Thursday is good because that's when we have these meetings.
What about next Thursday? No, next Thursday didn't work for somebody, right?
It doesn't work
No.
for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that also, it wasn't going to work for me because I was supposed to go on a trip and that's been canceled.
Okay.
Sorry, I take it back. We're gonna need Julie there because she is
Right.
taking over, so
Oh, that's a good idea.
I'm just scheduling.
What about the 31st? Julie?
I'm good.
The 31st. So we'll call a special meeting for the 31st. What time, Julie? Okay, can everybody be here on the 31st at 6? We start a little earlier.
I can't, but I'm
You
more
can't?
than willing to get up to speed with her separately if I need to.
Well, no, is 6:30 work?
I'm in South Whitby that day.
Are you in
I'm
South
Langley.
Whitby that day?
Yeah. I'm Langley
Okay, no, that day doesn't work.
How about Tuesday the 29th? That work for you guys?
No, ma'am.
If that works for
Okay.
me.
No, ma'am. I'm out of.
22nd works for me. I don't know if it works for anybody else.
The 22nd?
Mm-hmm.
Are you back then?
Well, then, can you guys be ready by the 22nd?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we hadn't talked about the 24th, had we, at all, which is Thursday.
But I can't.
She can't be here. That's why I moved the meeting. Okay, what about the 7th? No?
June 7th?
Yeah, okay, what about the 1st? It's a Friday.
No.
No. All right, 29th.
That is.
Of May?
I can't, guys, it's my daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
I'll get crucified.
Oh, did we already say the 22nd wasn't good? Of May?
Can you be ready by the 22nd? Yes? All right.
Do we have an understanding? Do you have an understanding? I don't understand. Can you
So
be
what-
ready what that means? Do you understand what that means? Yeah, I mean, if you do, great. I'm not going to worry about it, but.
Well, you have questions about.
I want to go over the P&L, how we budget everything, how things are paid for each month.
Okay.
I'm going to ask questions like we talked about earlier. What were we paying last year for gas, electric, and what have we paid since we've shut everything down? Because these are the numbers we're going to need when we
Would
start.
it be possible to get those questions emailed to me?
Yes, and with those questions emailed to you today, that's only 5 days to get ready for it. So I don't think the 22nd is going to work.
No.
So we need to do one of two things. Either we need to all send our questions separately, or we need to, or we need to meet to effectively formulate the list. I mean, it's one of the two.
Unless somebody has an objection, we all send the questions to Joanne. And
Yes.
if you get questions that are the same, obviously, just toss them out and then have one question. That way, we're not worried about OPMA and running around in circles, because then we got the tail chasing the dog.
I
So-
have no problem getting caught up to speed separately if the 31st works better for everybody. I mean,
Are you sure?
If there were a tie vote, we can schedule an emergency meeting immediately.
We're not gonna vote on anything because it's a special meeting,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I think I'll be able to, Joanne can get me up to speed right after the meeting then.
But
Okay,
is that still enough lead time? I guess is the
The
question.
29th
Okay.
is what we're talking about now.
31st.
No, 31st.
31st.
Yeah, the
Okay.
31st.
Oh, sorry. this week now. I was like.
all right, so if we can have our questions to Joanne, so we've got a lot of homework, guys. So priorities to me and questions to Joanne by next week, please.
By what date are we
The
getting?
25th.
Let's be clear.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, the 25th, questions to
Thank you.
Joanne. Special meeting, and if you would put out the notices, please, for the special meeting on May the 31st at 6:30. Thank you.
31. At 6:30, not 6 o'clock?
Can the rest of us do 6 o'clock? Can you do
can do
6?
6.
We'll do 6 o'clock, keep it earlier for you. Thank you. All right, awesome. And that'll help. Like we said, when you look at the cash flow projection, the other part of this, knowing that we are basically insolvent in December, we have some big bills that month, as Commissioner Shingleton said, the one we don't know about with the elections. Could be anywhere between 5 to 20,000 to more. And the insurance bill of 48,000 coming due that month. Knowing that our budget is tight for the rest of this year, I'm asking the board if there are any objections to us looking at selling the 2 parcels in town. The
It's 2 parcels? I thought there was just...
It's 2, correct?
Uh,
There's 1?
We have the one, the Highland Drive property.
Yes.
And
And then this-
I asked Jerry Morgan, who's been a realtor in town for over 40 years, I just asked her to look at what the value of that would be. And so she has that as an open item to come back with what she thinks the possibilities are with that lot. And then the other one is we own that little weird triangle. The other one is
North.
the weird triangle
Oh.
right
North
next
of-
to the dog park. Yeah, I'm not, right, exactly. That's,
Yeah.
and that one's valued at nothing, but it's treed and weird and,
Yeah, it has a paved road down it. If you go down where the dog park, where the cane rails are, you go right on the other side. We own that whole
I-
side. And
it's on the entry road. It's along
Yeah.
20, actually. What we own is on 20.
it's,
I don't object.
Or, I mean, sorry, Oakfield Road, sorry.
I was gonna say,
Hold on,
I was-
Shane.
But I knew exactly what she meant.
Okay,
Yes.
Shane, Commissioner Hoffmeyer?
Yes, I don't object to it in any unnecessary sorts. I have toured that lot at Highland Drive twice. First of all, it's not in the city, it's in the county, it's an enclave, it's surrounded by the city, but it's county property. No sewer hookup, et cetera, private water hookup. So then the problem gets into the lot is about that steep. And at the bottom of the lot is the well for that entire community.
and it didn't. last time.
I probably have enough money in my wallet right now to buy that lot. It's probably worth less than $3,000. We're probably looking at only gifting it to that water district is probably one of our only options there, in my opinion. Hopefully a realtor can come back and tell us there's some secret to build. Maybe. It's worth looking into. I don't object, but I wouldn't get our hopes up in any way, shape, or form. And I think a better way to get insolvent might be to, this is all very important to have. And I think this is obviously part of an operating budget, and it would be included in cost that we would have to ask the city for it to remain open until we had money.
Okay. Further comments?
My house is built on a lot like that. Even though I keep thinking I'm going to slide on into the sand, it is.
I think it's doable. It's just the problem is I don't think you can't put a septic on more than a 6 degree.
The problem is, and we talked about this over the last 2 years, that it's been very dry. And so the septic test was done in the 80s, right?
81.
And it was
done in
wet
81.
back then. It's a
Yeah,
lot drier
I think
now.
the problem is, though,
Something
like-
that didn't
yeah.
perk back in 81 could very well perk.
Well, it's just, you're just up against a hard number of you cannot put a septic on a more than 6-degree slope
To be
because it
clear-
actually perks too
To
well.
be clear, the neighbors do not have a septic system, they have a mound system.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, and so, I mean, it's different.
It was water main,
I had a
yes.
conversation with the person who owns the lot next door, just to try to find out, because again, this was something that began to be discussed last year, but never got completed. And so part of it is just trying to do due diligence,
Yeah.
even if we just assess, and perhaps we get nowhere with it, but you know what? We need to start turning stones.
I would love to look into as soon as you come off this probably 50 to 60 degree slope, you are within less than 100 feet of the community well is where you really run into problems.
Well, let's see what the Realtor
Absolutely,
says.
absolutely.
Is he willing to look into this pro bono, or are we going to?
She is looking.
Thank
She
you.
is looking into it. She just said she's someone who cares about the community, and she.
Awesome.
She just decided to. I asked her some questions. She said, "Let me look into it," and so we're.
So
we're
next
waiting
month,
that
maybe
answer.
we'll know something from you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So special meeting on the 31st, we've covered that, we've covered this, we've covered the mission statement. Programming, 6. Oh, wait, excuse me, cleaning staff and unemployment. So, the discussion I had with Julie and Joanne that we need to be aware of is we are paying unemployment for the cleaning staff at night. How much are we paying now? And we pay that quarterly, correct? And how much do we pay?
It was $35.49 was the total bill for the first quarter.
Okay. So we paid 35, how much?
$3,549.
Wow. For a quarter, for 2 people.
Should have kept them clean.
And so the question here is it,
So the question that we had initially had was, would it be worth seeing if they would come back and work hours equivalent to that unemployment? When we did a little more research, we found that in the state of Washington, they should only be able to collect unemployment for 26 weeks. And so one of them will have their benefit period end on June 4th and the other on July 15th. So at this point, I don't know how much benefit there would be to us trying to do that, because then we would have ongoing employees.
and we don't want that.
But just for future reference, I think it's something that we need to be really mindful of, because, for this period, we could have been getting something for that money instead of it just going to ESD.
Yes.
Okay.
So many hard lessons.
Like the grounds, they could have become mowers instead of cleaners.
Yes.
Just as long as they're
All right. Thank you. Thank you. We needed to bring that to everybody's attention, and the fact that it had been overlooked. And one of those things we didn't budget for when we found out we were going to have to shut down. Further discussion, comments on that? No? All right, programming. So Commissioner Hawley.
Yes. So I was looking at the visa charges, and I was kind of surprised to find $100, $300. Safe Kids curriculum, Safe Kids books, $269, $270, plus whatever time and we paid for the employee to go do that. And my understanding, or what I had in my head, was any programming we were going to do over, once the pool closed down, was going to be some things that would pay for themselves, or we wouldn't do them. And I just think we as a board need to make a decision. $270 is not a lot, except we're going to be out of money at the beginning of December. So every penny probably needs to be looked at. And I think we probably need to say no. If it's going to cost us if it doesn't pay for itself, and that includes the employee time and money, or the expense for the employee, I say we don't do it until we get some infusion of cash.
All of our programs.
That is just the down and dirty of it. And I remember thinking when I first came on the board and I was going over with Erica what she did and stuff, And the fact was that she would go out and do these Safe Kids programs. And I thought, oh, that's such a great thing from the community. But we weren't paying anything because Erica was a salaried employee. And then, but she was taking little bags of stuff, and that was to get the kids to think about safety or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I didn't think we needed to do that either. Because I thought, well, why are we doing that? It's like, safety instruction is good in schools, but it's like, we don't have the money to do that, in my opinion. And not just this, but anything that's gonna cost us money that's not just maintaining our facilities. And that's what, we have gotta get down to the bare bones of maintaining these facilities that we have. Sorry, but that's what I think.
Discussion, any further discussion?
The money situation is what it is. It's hard to disagree with, you know?
So the other question was, why did this happen? Did you just decide to do it because we always have?
Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay, so this is not that same thing that Erica went and did. Safe Kids 101 is a curriculum that teaches children, it's geared for ages 9 to 13, how to stay home safely on their own when their parents are at work or they're left in charge of siblings. This course, we calculated the expense of the material, the expense of the instructor. We priced it accordingly. If you look at recreation revenue right now, recreation activities have brought in $1,021.20.
So that it did pay for itself.
That includes the HIT class.
Okay.
And if you look at our expenses between the instructor for that and the HIT class and the material for the Safe Kids class, it was $623.40. So right now, we're almost $400 profit from those programs.
Okay.
Yay, you.
Yes.
Okay, no, and I apologize, I take it all back. You're
Well,
golden.
and
No.
that's, I would hope that moving forward, it's been my understanding for 4 years here. Any event I do, any activity I do, I have a project outline in advance. And I'm pretty confident that it's going to make money before I engage in it, and that's especially critical now. With this particular thing with Safe Kids, we put a little survey out to the community. Who would be interested in this? I lined up an instructor. Once we had enough feedback from the community that we knew we could support the class, then we went ahead and ordered that curriculum.
Okay, no,
And that's just kind of my process in general with things.
okay,
So,
didn't know.
Can I make a
Thank you.
suggestion? Sorry, because we're not getting any staff reports, I mean, it would be helpful. I think that's part of the, there's no visibility to this. And so for us, like, it would be great if we understood that not only here's what we did and here's what we're going to do. That would be great. I don't think it costs a lot. I don't think it should take a lot of extra work,
no.
but it would be really helpful to us. Yeah.
So-
And I think this is a little bit the delay of where it appears on a credit card statement versus when the activity actually occurred.
But you never gave us, remember how many times have I asked for, this is what it cost, this is what our revenue was. If you just would have given us something like that a couple months ago, I probably would have remembered that's what it was.
Steve was still
So-
here when this was all.
So in the future, what I'd like for us, since we're not doing staff reports, simple, quick, down and dirty. And like, Commissioner Shingleton said, you don't need to spend a whole lot of time on that because your time, is valuable. And so just quick, like 1 page of notes. And if you keep them as you go along during the month, it makes it easier. So,
And
okay.
honestly, it's probably something that without that direction and that reminder, I would easily overlook because the numbers are very apparent in the P&L.
Right.
But I will make a note of that.
I don't know if I'd say,
I would say,
I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah.
I would
yeah,
disagree
readily
with that.
apparent to you, maybe.
Well, and it is apparent to me, I think, because you have recreation revenue, you have recreation staff.
Well, but
That's listed clearly, and you have the supplies, they're all,
if you look at April alone, we have a rec director amount and we have an income amount and the recreation director, whatever that title is more than the revenue. So
Yeah.
I think calling it very apparent is misleading.
yeah, well, in the year to date is what I was referring to.
Okay.
But, okay.
But good job, and thank you.
yep.
on that.
So in the future, we all agree, and thank you, it's good to hear from you that we're not going to take on programs that aren't going to make the district money, because obviously, unfortunately, we are not in the position to do that right now. All right, staff reports, questions for the staff, since we don't have staff reports, questions for the staff from the board.
I just, if you could send us, I mean, you could either tell us right now, I'd really just love a horizon of what things are coming up. I don't have any visibility to that.
So that's a good question, and that actually is something I've had on my mind. I would really like to know what the board's level of support is for non-aquatic programs moving forward. I have worked at length on different things that we can do during summer, kids programs, family programs, adult programs, things that we can offer that don't utilize the pool. That would be ways to generate revenue, and I really do. I'd like to gauge what your level of support is for those ideas.
I'd love to see a proposal of what those things are. I mean,
Excuse me.
you know, I appreciate, first of all, I appreciate what you just said, and in terms of that this is the way you've always looked at things. Maybe we needed to hear that reminder. I'll say I probably did. So I appreciate that. But I'd love to see a proposal of what those things are that you'd like to look at doing.
And I would say in your proposal, please let us know interest level, how you're going to gauge it. You know, what's your cutoff numbers for doing it or not doing it, something like that. Kind of a gauge for us.
I can do that for the, I was gonna say for the June meeting, but that's the very end of June. Can we add that to the special meeting with Joanne?
I would think so. That won't take very long to look over
It
the
won't take very long,
proposal.
and the reason I'm asking in that manner to do it in that time frame is some of what I'm looking at would run mid-July through the end of summer.
Okay.
So I need lead time for promotion.
Sure, as long as you know what, as long as you put those 2 items on the agenda for the special meeting, that goes out for notice,
well,
yes.
can we get it by the 25th? Like, just as we have to give?
Yes. Give it to us so we have time to look over it
Yeah.
before the meeting.
And ask you questions if we have questions ahead of time. Okay.
Awesome,
I got something too.
yeah.
That I obviously have interest in anything we can do without, you know, dipping into the money we do have. So I would have a level of interest there. I think my interest could go up greatly from there if there was a way to get every one of these programs a sponsor from within the community, et cetera. Just because I think, just with a mindful eye on optics to remind people and make it very, very clear that whatever we do happen to be able to do this summer, that we're not using district resources to do it at all, basically. So if there was a way to get sponsors, I look at what the Chamber of Commerce is able to do with their people, and I really think, you know, to get $100 or $200 or something out of somebody shouldn't be an issue.
Well, and I think if Julie hadn't just walked out, that she would express concern with that because she's out knocking on every door
She
for
is,
businesses
yes.
already. And I
Yes.
know that she's already expressed concern about even for the block party idea going and seeking more
Yes.
sponsorship.
Yeah.
Just because she's already had her hand out, you know, for the foundation. And then when it comes time for the levy,
Yeah.
you know, there will be that request there too. And for the most part with the programs we offer, Daddy Dog Camps, is something that we can still definitely put on the calendar. You know, we just factor the costs in so that we're covering our expenses and it works out okay. In the future, you know, if the levy passes in November and we're having this conversation next year, then by all means, yes, I think that would be the time maybe to go out and try and get sponsors to be able to do bigger events. I'm just not sure that right now is the time.
I'm just
to-
concerned about the optics with the levy coming and, you know, how ill-informed some people choose to vote against something.
Mhm. I
Well,
can understand that.
I think if it pays for itself, and you proved that the other one paid for itself, and I mean, I'm sure that not every single one will exceed expectations, but I think you're doing a good job, and you know, and if we see, you know, the plan, that's great.
Commissioner Hawley, staff reports, anything for any of the staff?
No.
Matt, I have one thing for you, health inspection.
Oh, yeah, you should be here on Monday. Of course, Annetta,
Yes,
she already called me and I talked to her.
Okay.
And we set it all up for Monday afternoon.
is it just a pool water or?
What it is they're gonna come in, they're gonna go over, like they usually do sometimes, and how they check everything. On this time, this is, all right, what we're doing on closures, what's the water at? It's just a basic kind of looky-loo, and then they'll check it off, on the inspection sheet, and I'll have that inspection sheet on the next,
Okay, cool.
on the next commission, for the next commission.
And I didn't even look to see if the bucket was still out there. Do we have our bucket of chlorine in the pool or?
It is out of the pool right now.
It is out of the pool?
Yeah, because I checked it, Wednesday, yesterday, and we're at a 3.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we're
fine.
right where the
Yeah.
range for chlorine is where
Oh,
it should
yeah,
be
yeah.
for a pool that's not occupied.
Yeah, you can actually get into it, no problem, and swim it.
Besides hypothermia.
Well, yeah, besides being a little frigid, a little pool bear plunge, wake people up, it'd be all right. But yeah, for closure, they asked it to be at least 1 parts per million, so
Mhm.
1 is all they really needed.
Okay,
All the water in here needs to be at least 1.
okay,
So we
Thank
are,
you.
we are definitely on it.
awesome. Anything else going on maintenance-wise around either here, Clover Valley, that,
No,
in hours you're doing okay on?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
I'm keeping them down as low as I can.
Well, do you need more though?
No, not as of right now. As of right now, we keep it the 8. Go from there.
All right, thank you. Julie, any final from you? Joanne? All right, final board comments. Commissioner Shingleton.
Will you be with us next meeting, well, we know you'll be with us for the special meeting, but will you be with us for the next regular meeting? Okay,
Well, I'm still here, I'm not
Okay.
leaving,
but you'll no
but
longer,
no.
okay, just trying to set expectations.
Yeah, I would have phoned.
Okay, okay, and certainly, I mean, more to come, but just, thank you.
Commissioner Hoffmeyer.
I mean, looking at all this, and my schedule's obviously full, it's hard for us to get to that special meeting. But I've heard from 3 council members, well, I've personally heard from a couple of council members, and then Julie Elite echoed another council member saying the same thing. That's 3. I think that might be a majority over there. Begging us to come ask them for $200,000. I think we need to get it done, like, now.
And obviously, I think
Yeah.
I agree.
Mhm.
We have some things we need to do.
Yes.
And we haven't scratched the surface on a budget to reopen this pool, which is why we're having that special meeting,
Mhm.
to find out where our cash flow's at, and to find out what it's gonna take us to open this pool, to put butts in seats, lifeguard chairs.
I mean, I guess I agree, but the 3 or 4 budgets that I've looked at on it have all been within, I mean, even some of the heated arguments were only over a couple $1,000s a month. I mean, everything seemed to be on a, say we were able to go on a 4-day schedule or something, everything seemed to be 30, 35, somewhere in there per month. All the 3 or 4 proposals that came forward all looked pretty similar. So I think we're close enough to take a stab at it. And hopefully this meeting will push us much closer, obviously.
And I think
Mhm.
after that, we'll have a better
I
idea.
hope so. I really
Okay.
hope so.
Commissioner Holly,
No,
Commissioner Harvey.
I'm good.
All right. We've got some stuff to do. Thank you for the special meeting. Thank you all for what you've done up to this. Joanne, you won't be here next month, at least as a paid employee. And on behalf of the district, I'd like to say thank you very much for your service and for all you have done. And not just in this last year that hasn't been all that much fun, but prior to that. I appreciate your service and all you've done for our district. So thank you very much. And we wish you the best in the future. Our next meeting is Thursday, June 28th at 6:30, and our special meeting is on the 31st of May at 6 o'clock. It is now 8:32. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.